Hey everyone, I'm Parker, co-founder of Deco Exchange. Ever been told that crafting is just a hobby? Well, we've turned our passion for crafting into a thriving 8-figure business, surrounded ourselves with an incredible community, and learned countless valuable lessons along the way. From navigating business challenges to celebrating wins, we've seen firsthand that makers mean business. Join me as we dive deep into these stories, strategies, and secrets behind making your craft a successful enterprise. Because here at Makers Mean Business, we're all about proving that makers aren't just making, they're building dreams and running businesses. Hey everyone, it is Parker here with the Makers Mean Business podcast. Y'all, I'm back for another episode of live selling, y'all. We are on episode 4 of 7, y'all. We're going to have a few more episodes after this, but today what I want to talk about is a little technical stuff. I know people get super scared. People say they're not tech savvy. People say technology scares them. Technology's out to get them. Y'all, I totally get all of that. So what I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about what I think you need to do a live video or a live sale, or y'all, the whole series is all about live selling, and that's definitely the premise, but you could very easily take the word live selling and just talk about live video. So just keep that in mind while I'm talking about all of this stuff too. Even if you don't plan on going live and selling your product, you probably should still go live and talk about your product. But that being said, y'all, I'm going to try to keep 2 main demographics in mind. You've either never done a live video before, or you have a very low budget to invest in fancy equipment. Okay, so those are the 2 types of people that I want to talk to today. If you're already doing live sales, if you're already doing videos really often, maybe just take a peek at the link in the show notes, because it's just going to be some of my favorite things. It's going to include low budget items and higher budget items, so just keep that in mind. To get started, you've never done a live video, y'all. I've talked about this in a previous episode in this series. You really just need your phone. You really just need a phone that has a camera, which I think every phone in 2024 has a camera with it that's pretty decent. So you really just need a phone, and you really just need to press live or go record it or whatever you want to do, however you're deciding to go live. If it's on TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is, you can go live directly from your phone with that. So you don't need some fancy camera. You don't need some fancy anything. Some of those things will improve your video quality, your quality of life, your ease of access, your viewing experience, all of those things, right? There's definitely a reason to have some of those things. But when you're just starting out, or if you have a low budget, just using your phone is gonna get you a very long way. Honestly, if it comes between spending some money and being consistent, will get you way further than buying some fancy equipment. If money's tight, if you're just starting out and you're not sure if you want to invest in anything, just use your phone. You're gonna get through it. So let's move on and talk a little bit. Okay, maybe you have $100, $200 that you're willing to part with. What are some things that you can get that will make your life a whole lot easier and absolutely be worth the money? First couple things that come to mind. Y'all have my list out in front of me, so I want to make sure that I don't miss anything here. The first thing that's going to come to mind is lights. So there are 2 main types of lights that I'm going to talk about. One of them is a ring light. The ring lights are very good if it's you that's on the video. If it's just like around like if the camera's pointing at your body, your face, you at your table, a ring light is a really great option. They're really affordable. Like I said earlier, there's going to be links to all these things in the description of the show notes. I don't want to talk about prices because this stuff changes, but it's very low budget. Now, if you're trying to video product, or maybe you need some supplemental lighting, I call them sandbox lights, but they're basically like if you've ever seen your grandkids or your kids' school picture day, they have the lights with the little black reflective, like they're black on the outside, silver on the inside with a lot of reflection going on. I call those box lights. You can get a set of those on Amazon, 2 or 3, and just strategically place them around where your camera is, what you're trying to record. Maybe you have a little desk or a studio or like a backdrop where you're showing off some of your stuff. Just have them pointed there. Y'all, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record when it comes to this, but you're really going to want to make sure that you do test recordings, right? Do the test recordings and look at what the lighting looks like. Maybe you can spot some shadows. Maybe there's glares. You really are going to want to do that, because once you start going live, you're really not going to want to shift the camera around too much unless you're literally planning to move around with the camera, which I totally do all the time. But as a beginner, it's going to be a lot to juggle the camera, juggle the lighting, juggle all the things while trying to move. Ring lights, box lights, great options there, and that's what you can use them for. We're going to move on to phone mounts. So depending on your setup, y'all, I'm going to be saying that a lot too. I'm going to sound like a broken record again. Depending on your setup, you may want different types of phone mounts. If it'll work for you, there's very short ones, maybe like a 1 foot or shorter, that can sit on the desk, that can sit on a shelf and look down. There's gooseneck versions where you can adjust it really easily. There's tripod versions that can get really high up. There's ones that you can mount from the ceiling. There's all kinds of different ones. But what that will do for you is get you a really great angle, and it's going to hold it in place. So you don't have to worry about shaking or moving around or it falling over. You can put the phone or the camera, if you have a camera, in a permanent spot that holds it consistently throughout the video. Moving on to the next thing, y'all, this was one thing that Damon, we were brainstorming some things to mention, especially when you're doing live selling stuff. Having some type of way to identify the different products and refer to them on the video or even after the video's over. We recommend getting some number cards. If you haven't seen these, they're almost about the size of a playing card, and they just have different numbers on them. It's almost like a SKU system. If you guys don't know what SKUs are, it's basically item numbers. So you can have item number 001, 002, 003, and you can refer to those during your video so that your customers know what you're talking about. If they ask about it in the comments, they have some easy way to explain. They don't have to say, oh, it's that wreath with the roses and they're blue. They can just say item number 003. How much is that? Thank you. And you know exactly what she's talking about or they're talking about. It also can be very useful to implement those numbers inside of your Etsy shop or your website if you're not already using some kind of system to identify your wreaths. I know a lot of our current business coaching members inside of the Makers University, they employ their husbands, their significant others, their kids, their parents. That some of the first help that you'll probably ever have when you start growing your business is your family. And the truth is, they're never going to know this stuff like you do. So having I like to call it a common language, instead of trying to explain to your husband or your wife or your partner, whatever it is, hey, can you grab that? Again, we'll go with the red rose ribbon, and you might have 3 different versions of that wreath. You can just say, hey, we got to ship item number 003. And that way it's very clear, it's tagged with that card, and it just makes the whole process of selling, packing, shipping very easy. So that's something I definitely recommend. Y'all, I know earlier in this series, I talked a little bit about having a whiteboard. So I put a little whiteboard up there. They have varying sizes. There's some that you can keep on your desk. There's some that have the big rolling wheels and you can move them around depending on what your setup is and how much space you have. Those can be a great option. Paired up with the whiteboard, I put the dry erase markers. But another thing that has been helpful for us, again, if you have the budget for it, is getting an actual monitor mount, getting an actual TV mount and a TV or a monitor. You can watch your own live in real time. And especially, y'all, my eyesight is definitely not what it used to be, but having a huge monitor in front of me, I can very easily read comments. I can very easily see what people are saying, what they're asking, and it's not a struggle. If you have a lower budget, you can absolutely just do this on a second phone. You can borrow someone else's phone, or what we've done over the years is when we get a new phone, we keep the old one and just connect it to the Wi-Fi. That way we can log in over on Facebook or TikTok and just watch the stream as it's being streamed and still be able to read comments very easily. Because if you have your phone mounted up above you or a little further away from you, it's definitely going to be hard to see comments. So having a secondary device, whether it be that TV mount, that monitor mount, or a second phone, will be really helpful. And honestly, it'll just make everyone's experience a lot better. The customer won't get annoyed because you can't see their comments. You won't get annoyed because you can't see anything, and it'll just make everything a lot easier for you. Y'all, 2 more things that I wanted to cover on this video when it comes specifically to physical things that may help you out during the live sale. One is going to be what I call a light box. Now, this isn't directly related to the actual video, But what it is, probably about 2 foot by 2 foot. It's a big cube. You plug it into the wall and it just is, it's all of the interior is white. So depending on if you sell bigger or smaller products, this could be useful to you. But when we sell tumblers and we sell other smaller things that can fit inside that box, it just provides a really great way to take photos of your finished product. I wanted to throw that in there. I know it's not specific to the actual live video, but hey, there's a bonus for you. Y'all, the last thing that I want to bring up when it comes to product, especially for all my wreath makers out there, all of the handmade products people, I'm going to say a prop door. It could just be a real door with a wreath hook on it or a command strip on it or whatever it is. But being able to show off your product in the kind of simulated environment that it's meant for really helps a lot of customers imagine what it could look like for them. So, you see it with boutique models all the time. They're dressed up showing off the product. Why wouldn't you dress up a door and show off your product? So I think a door is a great option. And y'all, honestly, investing in a low cost, we just bought a simple white door, got a fake doorknob, made it look nice, put a door hanger on it. We would take that to craft shows with us too. So if you're still in that stage of your business or you just really love doing craft shows, y'all take the door with you, because we call it a showstopper, but we would put the best wreath, the fanciest wreath, the most wow wreath on that door, and it would sell immediately. And then we would go and put another wreath on the door, and then that one would sell. So it's a really great investment because there's so many different uses for it. I know that was a lot when it comes to products. Like I said, there is going to be a list in the show notes that you can click over to Amazon and check out all of those recommended. And most of it is stuff that we've actually bought and used before, so that I know that it's good. So that's all going to be in the show notes, so you can make sure and check that out. Y'all, one more thing that I wanted to cover in this episode specifically is technical glitches and audio problems and video problems. There's going to be stuff that happens, y'all. There's going to be times where the sound cuts out. There's going to be times where the Wi-Fi drops. There's going to be a time where the camera falls over and all of those things. It's inevitable. And I just want you to know that is normal and that's okay. And that's part of just being a normal person. I think a lot of people get in the trap where they have to be perfectly scripted and they have to put on a show or put on a front. Having those things happen, while no one wants them to happen, having those things happen and acknowledging them and being okay with them humanizes you. It humanizes your business, and it really, depending on how you handle the situation, it can really build a level of trust, a no-like trust factor. Like I've said before, it really makes you seem like a normal person. A lot of people see people on video and they think, oh man, it must be nice to have all your stuff together, or they have this idea of who you are and what you are, and it's like putting someone on a pedestal when they're up on a video. And being able to handle those things with grace and just normalizing mistakes happening can really go a long way with customers and with your community. Y'all, it's going to be awkward no matter what. It's going to be an oh no moment no matter what. But just keep that in the back of your mind. Just know that things can go wrong and things will go wrong, and you can just keep on moving along. If you have to, stop the video and come back. If you have to, just stand that camera up, like, oops, sorry guys, that thing just fell right on over. And it's okay, and just try to take it in stride. I know that's so much easier said than done, but just know that, as someone who's done, hundreds, maybe thousands of live videos at this point in my life, things go wrong and it's okay. And don't sweat the small stuff and just keep on keeping on. I feel like that episode went by so fast. I don't know if it's because I was talking fast or if I just had a lot to say, but I really hope that this episode eased some of your concerns. I know this was one of the biggest questions and it's one of the biggest struggles. People feel like they have to have all the things, and it's honestly a common thing that people do across their business. They wait for the stars to align. They think of all the reasons why they shouldn't do something. And y'all, don't let technology be a reason why you shouldn't go live. Just turn on the camera. All I ask is that you guys check the sound and check the lighting and record yourself once just to make sure it sounds okay. You definitely don't want to put out really bad content, because then that's going to be fun for no one. But as long as people can hear you and as long as people can see what you're trying to show them, you're okay. Even if that's just your iPhone 14 or 15 or 13 or 10 or whatever it is, just do a quick test. And if it's good, go for it. Don't let yourself be like, oh, I'll do it when I get this, or I'll do it when this happens. Just turn it on and do it, you guys. Trust me. Just turn it on and do it. All right, you guys, I'm going to be back next week, and I'm going to be talking about what to do after your video. I'm going to be talking about a little bit about analytics, a little bit of things that I like to keep in mind, some things to look at, some things to think about, and we'll talk all about that on the next episode, y'all. Hey, make sure and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast, and make sure and subscribe, you guys. I would love for you to hear what I have to say next week or the previous episode or the next episode, y'all. I'll see you next time on the Makers Mean Business podcast. Bye, y'all.